If your planning period keeps disappearing, it's not because you're wasting it. It's not because you don't care, and it's not because you're bad at time management. Most of the time, your planning period isn't empty, it's overloaded. And if you're thinking, but I did work, I sat down, I answered emails, I opened the tabs, I tried to make decisions, I looked at the gradebook, I started the thing, and somehow the bell rang and nothing meaningful got finished, yep. That feeling is real, and it is one of the fastest ways that teachers end up in that quiet little spiral where you start telling yourself, I'll just take it home again, even though you don't want to, even though you're tired, even though you promised yourself you wouldn't. So today, I want to name what's actually happening, because when you can name it, you can stop blaming yourself for it. Welcome to the Secondary Teacher Podcast, the podcast for middle and high school teachers juggling multiple preps to get the strategies to reduce overwhelm so that you don't have to choose between being an effective teacher and prioritizing important relationships. I'm your host, Kristen Masick, a 10-year high school engineering teacher, former middle school assistant principal, and teacher coach. Every week, we will discuss strategies, systems, and time-saving tips to help you not only survive but thrive as a multiple prep teacher. When I first started teaching, I didn't really know what I was doing yet. And in my case, a huge part of that was because I wasn't walking into a situation where somebody handed me a full curriculum and said, here you go. For most of my teaching career, I was building what I taught from the ground up. Sure, I had some standards, but didn't have a fully built curriculum or really any guidance other than standards. And when you're doing that, you're not just planning lessons. You're making pacing decisions, creating assessments, building rubrics, figuring out what good looks like, troubleshooting what doesn't work, and trying to do all of that while also teaching students. So somewhere early on, I made up a rule in my head. I decided that units should be 2 weeks long. I don't even know where I got that number. I think I looked at the year, looked at the standards, looked at the weeks on the calendar and thought, okay, if I divide this up, this is how it should work. And here's the part that matters. I didn't just do that for one class. I did it for every class I taught. So what did that mean? It meant that more often than not, all of my classes were starting and stopping at the same time. And it took me longer than I'd like to admit to realize what that was doing to me. I think it was probably year 6 or 8 before I even saw it clearly. And honestly, I'm pretty sure it was a colleague who helped me see it. Some conversation where they mentioned something about staggering their units, and suddenly I realized, oh, I've been creating my own collision points. Because on paper, it sounded kind of efficient, right? Like batching. If everything changes every 2 weeks, then I can build everything in batches. I can grade everything in batches. I can assess everything in batches. But here's what happened in real life. Every 2 weeks, I was trying to do too many big things at the exact same time. I was grading for everybody at once. I was creating multiple assessments at once. I was shifting multiple classes into new content at once. And my planning period became this place where I was constantly switching between prep brain, grading brain, troubleshooting brain, and what do I teach next brain? Sometimes all within the same 20 minutes. So I'd sit down during my prep and I'd feel this weird pressure in my chest, like, okay, what's the most urgent thing? And everything felt urgent. And then I'd start one thing, get interrupted, start another, realize I needed a file or a rubric or an example, open a tab, open another tab, answer a question, respond to an email. Remember, I needed to print something, and then suddenly the bell. And I'd look up and think, I was busy, but I didn't finish anything. That was the moment, or really the series of moments, where I realized something that changed my planning forever. I wasn't failing at planning. I was planning in silos and accidentally sinking every finish line. I was treating each class like it lived on its own little island, and I wasn't looking at the full calendar picture. And when you don't look at the full calendar picture, you don't see the collisions you're creating. So the first thing I changed wasn't my work ethic. It was my calendar. I stopped planning each class like it existed alone, and I started intentionally staggering start and stop points so that not everything demanded a major transition from me in the same week. Later, when I got a curriculum from a company, I still had to be intentional about when units started and ended to make sure that I didn't repeat that earlier mistake. Because even with a pre-built curriculum, you can still accidentally sync everything if you are not paying attention. Your planning period doesn't need more hustle. It needs fewer simultaneous finish lines. Let's name what's happening when prep feels impossible. Collision. If you have multiple preps, or honestly, even just as a secondary teacher, your planning period can get crushed by synced transitions. Here's a quick check. Are multiple classes entering a new unit the same week? Are multiple big assessments due in the same 2-day window? Do you have what feels like a grading avalanche that hits like clockwork? If the answer is yes, it makes total sense that prep feels like it disappears, because your brain isn't just doing work, your brain is switching work, and switching has a cost. Every time you jump from grade this to plan that to create this to fix that, your brain burns energy just figuring out what you're doing next. Add decision fatigue on top of that, because every prep includes 100 micro decisions, and you get the exact feeling teachers describe as I can't even start, or I start but nothing finishes. And that's not a character flaw, that's overload. This is the big shift. Stop planning in silos. Instead, zoom out and look at your month, not your lesson plan template, not your unit outline, your actual calendar, because a calendar is the only place you can see where everything is piling up on you at once. Here's the simplest version. Pick one class and move its finish line by a week. That might mean that one class finishes a unit this weekend, transitions to another, and next week another one of your preps does it. So it's not happening on those same day. One assessment happens on a Thursday and maybe another happens the following Tuesday. One class turns in a major checkpoint or assignment or project, and then you give yourself several days, maybe even a week, before another class turns in one of their assessments. You're not changing your standards. You're not falling behind. You're simply refusing to schedule 4 major demands on the same version of you in the same week. And this is where it gets real. You don't need the perfect stagger system. You just need one with less collisions, because one less collision gives you breathing room, and breathing room is what makes planning possible. Now, once your calendar is a little less stacked, here's the next move. In your planning period, stop aiming for plan the next unit. Aim for finish the next finish line, because the relief doesn't come from staring at everything you could do. It comes from completing one thing that stops taking up space in your head. So ask yourself, what's the next finish line that will make tomorrow feel lighter? Maybe it's grading one class set that's been sitting there, writing one assessment, tightening one rubric, prepping directions and examples for the next project, or organizing the materials or workflow so class starts smoothly. And if you're thinking, but I never have enough time, I hear you. That's why you don't pick a finish line that requires a heroic 2-hour block. You pick something you can actually complete before the bell, even if it's small, especially if it's small, because completion lowers the mental noise. And when the mental noise lowers, you can think again. If you're listening to this and realizing, oh my gosh, I've been syncing everything, I want you to hear this clearly. You weren't doing it wrong because you were careless. You were doing it because you were trying to create structure in chaos. You were building a pacing plan without a roadmap. You were trying to make the year make sense. And honestly, that's what good teachers do. But you don't have to keep paying the price for a structure that overloads you. You don't need a new personality. You don't need to become the kind of person who just wakes up earlier. You need fewer collisions, fewer simultaneous finish lines, more intentional spacing, and permission to plan like a human. So here's your next step. Open your calendar for the next month. Circle the week where everything is due. Then pick one class, just one, and move its next major transition or assessment by 1 week. That's it. And tomorrow, during your planning period, pick one finish line you can complete before the bell, not 5. 1, because finishing one meaningful thing is how you start getting your brain back, and you deserve that. If today's episode was helpful to you, it could be for others. So make sure you share it with your colleagues and tag me on Instagram at Kristen Masick, KHRISTENMASSIC. Until next week.